Hi there, welcome to GameSpot Live. I'm Greg Kasavin here to tell you all about Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell for the PC. Splinter Cell is pretty well known already. The game came out for the Xbox originally a few months ago and quickly became one of the best-selling games for that system. Now it's available for the PC, and by and large it's exactly the same game, which is great news because Splinter Cell is an excellent game that's received widespread acclaim both from critics and from gamers alike. The PC version of Splinter Cell is basically identical to the Xbox game that came out already. However, the PC version has improved controls, or at least controls designed exclusively for the PC, so you use your mouse and keyboard rather than a gamepad. And also the PC version grants you the ability to save your progress anywhere and to load your progress at any point as well, whereas on the Xbox there's a limited save system that led to some occasional frustrations with how some of the levels played out. Otherwise, Splinter Cell is a stealth action game. It's reminiscent of other stealth games like Thief the Dark Project or last year's Hitman 2, but in many ways it's much better than these, and it certainly is one of the best looking PC games to date, both with its lighting effects and also in its really well done animation for its main character. All in all, Splinter Cell has the feel of just a Hollywood blockbuster thriller, and the production values to go along with it. It's even got your gratuitous alternative music intro and all kinds of stuff like that, but really the game is just incredibly slick and has a great main character, and its missions are big and detailed, making the experience really enjoyable pretty much from start to finish. The game isn't terribly long. It should take you between 10 and 15 hours to get through. Of course, there's no multiplayer or anything like that, but for as long as it lasts, the Splinter Cell ranks up there with the very best of what the PC action genre has to offer, and considering how many great games there are in that category, that should really say a lot for the game. The title Splinter Cell refers to the main character, Sam Fisher, who's an operative for a group called Third Echelon, which operates basically above the law and behind the back of the U.S. government, engaging in super top-secret covert actions all around the globe, and basically trying to put a stop to various global threats before they start. The plot of the game centers on a sort of cyber-terrorist group located somewhere in the former Soviet Union, and it's basically a conglomerate of Russian and Chinese terrorists, and it's stuff straight out of a Tom Clancy thriller, and the plot it unfolds through the use of pre-rendered cutscenes, but also during dialogue you'll hear over the course of the missions. And if you're a fan of Clancy's stuff, you'll probably really enjoy the way the plot unfolds. You'll also really like the huge variety of moves at Sam Fisher's disposal. He's basically a government ninja. He can perform all kinds of different leaps and move at different rates of speed. He can move really quickly while crouched, perform rolls, climb up things like chain link fences and pipes and ladders, and rappel off walls. He can even perform this really cool split jump where he mounts into the splits high up between two narrow walls. Sam can also sneak up behind enemies and take them hostage and use them as human shields, or interrogate them, or just knock them out either with his elbow or with the butt of his gun. And he's got a huge number of gadgets at his disposal too. He's got a little optical cable he could use to look under doorways. He's got little camera attachments for his high-tech rifle that he can shoot onto walls to spy around corners. He's got special rounds of ammunition that can knock victims out rather than kill them, and that really comes into play during certain missions where casualties are a no-no. Basically, Sam's got a move for every situation, and even though in every mission the odds are stacked really high against him, he's very well equipped to handle those different missions with all the stuff that he can do. Of course, Sam's also got his trusty night vision goggles, which also have a thermal vision mode, and these really help him out over the course of the game. The shadows are Sam's friend throughout Splinter Cell. He tries to remain hidden so that his foes don't even know he's coming, and basically, if ever you confront a foe face-to-face in Splinter Cell, that's because you're doing something wrong, and it's possible to go through all 9 of the game's big, huge missions using just stealth so that none of the foes really know you're coming or where you're about to hit them from. it's often possible to sneak past foes entirely without incapacitating them in any way, or you could go around knocking people out just so long as you later pick up their bodies and drag them out of sight. If you don't do that, one of the game's somewhat frustrating points crops up. You'll sometimes trigger scripted alarms if you leave bodies lying around, and this could prevent you from completing a mission. You'll run into other mission failure situations should you take out an opponent in a level where you're not allowed to have casualties, or should you trigger too many alarms and stuff like that. So there is a lot of trial and error to Splinter Cell, but as mentioned, since the PC version gives you the ability to quick save and quick load, and it's really just about instant, this really, the whole trial and error process isn't nearly as bad as it could be on the Xbox version of the game. This lets you just keep forging through the game's various missions and keep up with the plot, and the missions really maintain a high level of suspense throughout, and they're really just quite well done. Even though a number of them take place in seemingly mundane places like office buildings and such, the game's level of graphical detail is so impressive that even these areas manage to look really, really good and really realistic. You'll just see things like papers strewn about and soda cans lying around. It just really, the game has a very lived-in kind of look. It doesn't look as clean as a lot of games tend to, and of course it's got the really, really impressive lighting effects to give it more of a Hollywood quality. It doesn't look starkly realistic either. And Sam Fisher's character design is also really cool. He's got this really cool outfit and his weird night vision goggles and all kinds of stuff. The game just has a great look and atmosphere about it all around. Part of what gives the game great atmosphere is the fact that Michael Ironside does the voice of Sam Fisher. Michael Ironside is seen in movies like Starship Troopers and Top Gun and Free Willy, and his gravelly voice is just perfect for the character. He just really brings Sam Fisher to life and makes the character seem like this, really highly trained, really seasoned military vet, but one who's also just kind of all about business, yet one who'll crack the occasional dry joke. He comes across as a really likable and cool character in the end, and so it's not surprising that so many people are clamoring for a sequel to this game already, not just because Splinter Cell is really great, but also because they just like the character a lot and want to see more of him. As mentioned, the controls work really well on the PC. In the Xbox version of the game, you had to make Sam sneak around by gently applying the analog stick. If you pushed it too far forward, he'd break into a run instead of sneaking forward, so you were constantly having to use the stick gently in order to sneak up on foes. Instead of using an analog stick, the PC version actually uses the mouse wheel in order to determine Sam Fisher's rate of movement. This is actually a very clever way of making the character move about, so you could quickly make him change his movement speed and subtly change it around also. With each click of the mouse wheel, he'll move a little bit faster or a little bit slower. You really gain a fine degree of control over his motions, and although you lose some of the kind of tactile nature of the Xbox version of the controls, it still works extremely well on the PC, along with kind of the conventional keyboard and mouse setup that allows you to easily aim and access your inventory and all kinds of stuff like that. All in all, Splinter Cell just plays really well. The controls are very responsive, and there's a real learning curve to Sam's moves, so that initially you'll really struggle to get a good grip on all the stuff that he can do, but soon enough you'll be able to move about and be rolling and shooting around corners and all kinds of really neat things that you'd expect a character like this to be able to pull off. Overall, Splinter Cell for the PC is just a really outstanding action game pretty much on every level. Its production values are just completely top-notch. It looks incredible. It also plays really well and similarly to some other stealth action games, but with plenty more moves and lots of cool gadgets that you can't find anywhere else, and it's got a good story and just lots of big detailed missions that take you from everywhere from the headquarters of the CIA to a Chinese embassy to kind of creepy frozen meat lockers and all kinds of weird places like that. So it's got a number of surprises in there and just is really quite fun to play from start to finish. It's a game that you can finish in 10 to 15 hours or so, and there's a hard difficulty mode that you can tackle after that, but the levels are scripted pretty heavily, so you'll know what to expect the next time around. So really, this isn't the longest lasting game you're ever going to buy, but the experience of playing it through the first time, or maybe the first couple of times, is really quite rewarding. So if you've been hearing great things about Splinter Cell these last few months, rest assured you've been hearing those great things with good reason.